There's a system that expects us to fit our identity, who we think we are, into one of two roles, male-assigned or female-assigned. This is called the gender binary. I was born gender fluid, meaning my body and mind don't conform to that system. As a little person, I loved expressing myself through archetypal male roles, but also female ones. I mainly played with boy-assigned people because I preferred playing ball and roughhousing to playing with dolls. But I also loved to play with dolls. When I was 9 years old, I moved from New York City to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where biodiversity in plants and animals is totally nurtured, embraced, even protected, but biodiversity in people, not as much. I played on a Little League football team despite being the only one without a penis. And I took water gun fights, laser tag, and G.I. Joe very seriously. But I also loved dancing, singing, and expressing myself through art, and I really liked playing with girl-assigned people too. However, I lost all of my boy-assigned buddies to the ravages of puberty, and they lost me. And it wasn't because our bodies changed, but because the rules did. And I could never play by the rules of my female-assigned gender. Most kids who deviate from the gender binary, even the heterosexual ones, report abuse and rejection at school and home. Many have to drop out or change schools like I did. And the statistics of depression, anger, and suicide among gender nonconforming people, it's staggering. 41% attempt suicide like I did. Gender identity is affected by our biology and the environment, nature and nurture. I was diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome, so my testosterone is quite high for a female-assigned person. I never had that biological urge to give birth. I don't even know if I can. And my body looks androgynous, so where do I fall on the biological sex and gender spectrums? I mean, maybe my biology and my fluctuating gender identity are a perfect fit, but back then, I thought nature had cursed me. So I took hormones to increase my estrogen to help me fit into the female-assigned role given to me. And all it did was increase my depression, and my gender identity continued to fluctuate. I considered taking testosterone to embody the male-assigned role. And that role has more social freedom, privilege, power. I was actually surprised to find that, to me, it felt psychologically and emotionally oppressive. I'd still like a deeper voice and a sweet pair of mutton chops, but I didn't want to go bald, so. But finally, I just stopped. I stopped trying to conform to one of the two FDA-approved genders, and that's when I realized nature didn't curse me. It's blessed me. Like you, I'm a cooperative community of 100 trillion individual cells that are constantly changing, reproducing, fulfilling their functions in this cosmos called Carly. And in this cellular universe, there is a complex dance of hormones partnered with this magical, mysterious, infuriating consciousness, my identity. And gender-fluid identities cannot adapt to the artificial environment of a gender binary. For example, I love being talk-free in public for the same reasons male-assigned people do. Hot days, yoga, and to attract mates. I live in liberal California where it's legal for female-assigned people to be talk-free in public. Nevertheless, I was thrown out of my climbing gym, which allows male-assigned people to climb top-free, and police have been called in on a number of occasions to deal with my breasts as if they were two dangerous public enemies. I mean, threatened with imprisonment, and in some places I could be registered as a sex offender. Yeah. Yeah. But what's really obscene? Being myself, which transgresses gender laws, or gender laws that control the bodies and sexuality of half the human population while simultaneously fetishizing them. And male-assigned people, they are shamed and tamed as well in a gender binary. I was a toy designer. Here's a doll I designed with breakdancing abilities. You should see her go. I spent hours in toy stores observing how children play. And you wouldn't believe how many boy-assigned people I saw playing with dolls, babies, and all things soft, pink, and sparkly. They were swiftly redirected by a caretaker, even female ones, or shamed by siblings and friends, away from toys and play patterns that would have taught them nurturing, communication, and emotional expression. And these are valuable skills for anyone to have, and I'll tell you why they're valuable. Play creates culture. And presently, we live in a culture where male-assigned people commit suicide 4 times as much as female-assigned people. 4 times as much. And I can't help but connect that to the rules they're expected to play by. I'm not saying take the water guns away. I'm saying add the tea party, just not the political kind. We're all imprisoned in a gender binary together, but we can all break free together by creating a culture that embraces a gender spectrum. And gender transgression is necessary for gender equality, and that takes vulnerability and putting oneself out on a limb. Here I am, on a limb. I'm also an arborist. My career identity changes as much as my gender identity. I'm also a photographer, and recently I took 2 sets of photographs, random, San Francisco's Transgender March and Jackson, Wyoming's Independence Day Parade. And it wasn't premeditated, but as I looked at both my queer community and my hometown, I couldn't help but notice more similarities and contrasts. Our need to connect, our moments of feeling completely disconnected. Our expressions of identity are so all-consuming. We even inflict them onto our pets. I mean, forcing someone into a gender role is as absurd as shoving these little dogs into a costume. We can imagine a world where gender flows freely on a spectrum. And maybe we who are gender fluid could be a bridge to this world. We're multidimensional human beings who are great innovators and visionaries, leaders, healers, friends. And who the hell am I to say this, right? Well, like you, I'm just like you. I'm a body and I'm a mind. And our bodies, as Carl Sagan so eloquently put it, they're made of star stuff. Star stuff, that's amazing, and that's what each of us has to play and dance with for a fleeting moment. And then it's over. We are constantly transforming into something else. The neural networks in our brains, the cells in our bodies, our crazy fluctuating hormones, every fiber of our being is always in transition. So is our gender, and so is our identity. I invite you to explore and expand your perceptions of gender just by Googling gender spectrum. Check it out. I ask you to protect and nurture the inherent gender fluidity in children, especially the ones who abide in curious but cool places on that gender spectrum. And I dare you to be a gender pirate, a gender outlaw, a gender transgressor in your own way. Thank you.